Hey, this is the audio commentary for CordaRoy the Rat, episode 1. It's kind of like a DVD commentary, so that's how I'm going to treat it. This original one was made back in April of 2021. I was just getting off of a job, and I wanted to do a silly cartoon based off these rat drawings I had done on my iPad, and this little rat I thought was funny, like a little rat that's just working in an office, and I just thought it would be funny to make a little cartoon of this. I think it took originally 3 weeks to make. And I remember telling friends, like, I got a cartoon coming out on Friday. And then Friday would come around and they'd be like, where's the cartoon? I'd be like, it's not ready. I thought because of the subject matter of him having to stay over the weekend, it made sense. This cartoon had to come out on a Friday. And also nobody was watching, so what did it matter? So I wrestle with my choices on like whether or not what I think in my head makes sense, or does anyone even care? Like, just put out the cartoon. This ending right here of the motivational speaking part was just like a last ditch effort because I had no idea how to end this video. Endings are very, very hard and I'm not the best at them. And that's the end. Bye. Just kidding. The cartoon's gonna loop. So a little bit about CordaRoy the Rat, the character, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Watching this cartoon is interesting because he has a much raspier voice than what I do for him now. And I want to bring back some of the raspiness because I think that's originally where a lot of it came from. Was I was making fun of a friend of mine because I asked him a question and we were already at like a 10-hour day. And I was like, oh, are we cutting to monitor C? And he's like, yeah. And it was just a moment of his voice cracking. And the rest of the day into the night, I kept making fun of him. I was like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. And like, we just kept laughing about it. And I was just making fun of my friend. And it just kept working. Like, it never didn't make us laugh. That's not how sentences work. It was really funny. And it was originally, that voice was going to be originally used for a different cartoon rat, like mob boss cartoon I was going to make. And then I never ended up doing that one because it just like I kept losing steam on it. And this short could be animated so much quicker, so I just decided to like animate this idea. CordaRoy the Rat was animated in Adobe Animate, formerly Adobe Flash. All the props and the set were all done in Photoshop. And the monitor puppet was a character animator, Adobe Character Animator. All this was comped in After Effects. I moved around so many different programs for this one short, and I probably should have just stuck to like 2 and not make my life so complicated, but I think it turned out pretty good. CordaRoy the Rat was a lot of fun to draw and come up with this character. His girlfriend Velvet, that little rat picture, was a different rat that I had drawn initially, and I was happy to be able to use that design somewhere else. We've already passed it. Right here in this shot, he doesn't have a tail, but in the other shot, he does have a tail. And this is when I chose to not draw him with a tail, so that way I had one less thing to track. Because that's a thing that people have asked, like, oh, does he have a tail? And most of the time now, I just say, oh, he had it removed like Goku. Because even with him jumping in that little bumper, it would have been so much for him to have a tail. A lot of what you see in the office and his cubicle at his desk, all of this is the first pass. I didn't do version 2s of anything. I just needed to make this cartoon quickly. And people on Instagram, back when this was originally airing, had told me, like, I really like how we're watching the cartoon develop. And that's a quality that I really, really like, that I was able to put out, like, episode by episode or short by short, you know, and you can see, like, oh, the creator, Napoleon, is figuring out what this thing is. And I think that's the benefit of working by yourself for this thing, is there's not someone saying, oh, well, what does the show Bible say about this? I'm like, I don't know. I just put a hat on him. I'll figure it out later. Making this cartoon is me figuring out what this cartoon is. And I might go into it with an idea of, I want to do this. And by the time I get to the ending of it, I'm like, oh, this is actually something different. I got to go with where this thing naturally evolved into. So it's this ever-growing process in the writing. So much couldn't be said in the minute of this cartoon, which I was very impressed with myself to be able to make a cartoon that took a minute long, and it only took me 3 weeks to make. But I was making this with the privilege of being unemployed and not having a job. Real quickly, I want to point out this computer animator puppet. There's a map for Midgar and Rocco from the Deus Ex Mega 64 video on the monitors. Those are two things that are always pointed out. Both were just images that I needed to set dress the monitor, make it look dystopian and cyberpunk, and those two fit very well thematically. And also it's nice to include Rocco from Mega 64 because Mega 64 is a huge inspiration on the CordaRoy the Rat cartoon as a whole in many ways. That's the Trumar building from, if you ever drive in LA on the 405, you'll see a giant TrueCar building. So that was my homage to this building everybody knows about. I don't even know what they do there. I should have probably looked it up. This bumper originally wasn't in the original cut of the short. That was something I added later because I really liked Dragon Ball and One Piece, like the eye catchers they would put before commercial breaks. I loved that was like a quick like, hey, we'll be right back. And I wanted that as a part of this. And I wanted to make something that resembled TV because I realized like no one, like I was never going to have a shot to make my own show. So the only thing I had to do, so I had to make something that I legitimately wanted to make. And this was originally supposed to just be a one-off cartoon, I gotta say. And a friend of mine, one of my best friends in the world, she was the first comment on the video saying, make this a YouTube series. So, and she is a very, I'll shout her out, Kaya Herman. She is a very tough critic. She will let you know if she thinks something isn't working or if it's not good. And for her to be the first person to say, oh, this is good, you should pursue this. That was probably all the encouragement I needed, and I got to work on making a ton of these things. Originally, I just put it up on my Instagram, and then a little thing called TikTok came around. And TikTok was great for eyeballs. So in 2021, for about a good month and a half, I just made Corduroy cartoons on TikTok. And there was a lot of eyeballs on them in TikTok in 2021, and then I got a job. So I really had to put this Corduroy the Rat on the back burner, but it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to get back to it. This little cartoon, I always had ideas, and the more and more I worked on other projects at like a studio or a streaming service, I kept getting more ideas for this little rat because it was just such a fun little character, very much kind of like a Looney Tune that you could just plop into scenarios and just kind of see how he would act. And I loved developing little things for this guy. The ironic part about this cartoon is that he skates off to safety and puts family first. So it's like, oh, like work is not the most important thing. But in order to make this cartoon and put that message out there, I had to sit in a room and work and not pay attention to my family. Like, there's like this weird double-edged sword to this cartoon that I always try to point out to people. They're like, wow, it means so much. I'm like, you realize I had to not see my family to make this. All that being said, I do really appreciate when people tell me that this made a positive impact on their life. I'm very happy that I made something that people enjoy. And one thing I will say, this drawing of Corduroy, this is like maybe one of my favorite drawings I've ever done. I remember drawing it and laughing for maybe like 5 minutes thinking, this is such a funny drawing. And I've tried to take that with me to everything I make. It's like there has to be something you're drawing that really makes you laugh and really puts a smile on your face just to get you through the day. Because the hours in order to make a cartoon of this size, just anything in general, you have to find the joy in it. So like you got to find one drawing that makes you laugh, and that's what makes it worth doing. Yeah, because it's a big, long, hard job that you're not spending time with people, but you have to find that thing that gives you joy. And drawing this little rat gave me so much joy. So making these cartoons is so much more fun than I have on any other job I do. If it were up to me, I would just do this full time forever. Hold on one second. What do you want?
Do you have any snacks? Can I have snacks from the fridge?
No, that's fine, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted a cookie.
Yeah, help yourself. It's totally fine.
Have you mentioned the inspiration for me, Dustin the Turtle?
I haven't talked about you at all. No, you're not in this episode.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, can I join when you do talk about me?
Yeah, of course. I'll let you know when I do that. But I just got to finish up this one.
Okay, I'm just going to go get my cookie. Okay, I'll be right back. All right. I got stuff to do today.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Okay. Alright, I'll talk to you later. Okay, bye.
Sorry, everybody. I was talking to Dustin. Dustin's one of Corduroy's best friends. You would call him one of your best friends, right, Corduroy? Yeah. Yeah, Corduroy, you haven't been talking all that much throughout this whole commentary, huh? Yeah. We're pretty hard at work at the new episodes that we're trying to do, right? Yeah. It's been tough, I do gotta say. These cartoons take way longer to make. These are not like quick endeavors, and I wish I could make like quick content and just put stuff out like every day, every other day. So it's a really tough struggle. I had to animate a bunch of cartoons and keep them backlogged for like a good year or a good year and a half, just so that way they could come out closer together. Because the one thing I didn't want was like when I first put out this one, everyone was like, wow, it's amazing, it's great, when's the next one? And like that was tough to be like, I don't know. It's just like, it's so much to put these things out there. And that's actually something I could talk more about when I get to the other cartoons, because this was the first one, and I think it's very easy to make the first thing. It's really hard to continue making more of it, because then you have to continue, and you might not know where it's going. But all in all, this cartoon, the episode where he is working in the office, is a very fun first episode that has something to say and opens up the door for the future. So for that reason, I'm very proud of this little cartoon, and I'm also very thankful that people resonated with it. So thank you to everybody who's been listening to this audio commentary. Thank you to anybody who watches on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. And please share the little rat cartoon. Please share it with your friends. Tell everybody about Corduroy. Corduroy, do you want to say anything before we go?
Yeah!
Okay. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful time. Thank you for listening to this commentary, and goodbye. Also, one last thing I didn't even talk about. The bumper at the end is the Aquabats. It's crazy. The song is in a playlist on the YouTube channel. Go give it a listen. The trumpet in the song is fantastic, and I've always wanted to use it for something, so I was able to use it for the bumper, and it fits the vibe of Corduroy so well. It worked out perfectly.